What's up everyone, this is Donnie aka Elevated, and thank you for joining us for another video here on Dota Alchemy. And a special thank you and shout out to Skillshare, who is helping to support the channel by sponsoring this video. And we're very happy to be working with Skillshare because I've been using their service over the last couple of months to learn some skills that I never really was taught in school and stuff that I definitely need to learn these days to help run Dota Alchemy. I've been learning about how to create a better business plan, how to design merchandise, how to just be a generally more successful YouTube channel. And to be perfectly honest, all of that value has come from Skillshare. And so I just wanted to recommend them to you guys. I think that it's super useful. I know that there's a lot of people out there who are interested in starting something, but find it to be a little bit difficult to take that initial jump. And Skillshare is a great resource, an educational platform where you can dip your toe in the water and try out some stuff that you've been always wanting to try. And you guys can try Skillshare for 2 months completely free using the link below. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the meta busting mids. And this is kind of an interesting topic because there has been a significant shift in the meta of how Dota 2 is being played over the last year. There's been a sort of extending of the games. There's been more emphasis on having a strong late game, good mid game, and a lot of heroes such as Alchemist and Spectre and these Naga Sirens, these late game, really impossible to kill cores have become quite popular. In addition to that, we're seeing a lot of Ember Spirit and Storm Spirit mid. Of course, the INVOKER persona came out recently, so there's tons of invokers in pubs, and all these heroes trend towards being on the slower, the later game side of things. So with that being said, just because the meta has been this way for a long time and because it's been trending in this direction, doesn't mean that there isn't another way to play the game. And generally speaking, if Dota goes in a certain direction and keeps going in that direction and people continue to iterate on that style of play, it generally leaves open another avenue of something that could potentially counter the popular style of play. And I think that with the games trending towards the longer side, there's a significant opportunity for people to abuse a much faster and more aggressive play style. And specifically, I wanted to talk about 2 heroes that have been showing up on Dota 2 Pro Tracker as sort of trending upwards in terms of their pick rate. And as far as their win rate goes, it's astronomically high in these high skill games. So those 2 heroes are Huskar and Visage, and we're going to look at a couple of pros playing them in their pubs just to kind of understand how you can potentially abuse this slower meta, and especially all of these people who are picking the Ember Spirits, the Invokers, the Alchemists. So we're going to start by talking about Huskar, and we're going to be watching No One from VP play this hero. Now, No One is known for being one of the most mechanically skilled mid players in the world who often wins matchups that he shouldn't simply by outskilling his opponents. And Huskar is obviously one of those heroes that is picked to specifically win lanes. So when you put these 2 together, it should be a pretty dominating performance. And you can see right here that he starts off by winning the block. And this is incredibly important on Huskar because the first level is when you can really just set the tempo for the entire lane. Especially against melee heroes, you're going to see Huskars going for Burning Spears level 1 because they can just position themselves between the enemy hero and the creeps and completely zone them from being able to get a single last hit at the first wave. And that means that you're going to hit level 2 before they do, which means that you're going to have the advantage for the second and third waves because now that the wave is under tower, you're going to be able to right-click them and you're going to be able to trade with them if they try to trade back with you. This is super advantageous for a hero like Huskar who has no wave clear, and being able to use the creeps as a shield for the tower and for the enemy creeps while you just tee off on the enemy hero is incredibly valuable and allows you to burn through most of their regen after the second or third wave of the game. This means that you're going to be able to dominate the 4th, 5th, and 6th wave and basically just completely zone them out of the entire laning stage because you just simply have way too much damage for them to deal with, even if they're flying out a bunch of salves on the courier. And I really think the laning stage on Huskar against melee heroes is this simple. You win the block, which allows you to win the first wave, which basically just allows you to win the game as long as you're playing aggressively, positioning aggressively, and making sure to use your spears as an orb instead of right-clicking the enemy hero and drawing aggro from the creeps. Now, it's not just enough to win the CS battle in the mid lane. You need to get something done with this advantage that you've gained. And thankfully, Huskar is one of the best heroes at sieging towers early on as well. So we're going to see no one here pressuring the lane in as early as possible because the Ember Spirit that he's playing against simply cannot come to the lane without eating basically half or more of his HP just by getting near this Huskar. And that means that he has to resort to jungling, which frees up no one to start pressuring the tower. And this jungling playstyle is something that a lot of mids are doing anyway because the camps are very accessible to them. And of course, these heroes like the Alchemists and even in previous metas, the Medusas and those kinds of heroes who are leaving the lane to go jungle really should be punished by losing their mid tower at a very, very early moment in the game. And so we can see here that we're 4 minutes into the game and no one is already pressuring the tower. And this is just a byproduct of this matchup that we're currently watching. And this very aggressive playstyle is extremely important on this hero because Huskar doesn't have any farming mechanics. So he's going to fall behind these heroes that are spending a lot of time in the jungle, pushing out the waves, hitting jungle camps. Huskar can't do that. But what he can do is he can take away map control by taking away towers. And he can create a lot of pressure where the enemy team has to then come, stop farming, and defend their towers. So basically, instead of out farming people, you're trying to draw people away from their farm and out farm them as a result. And in doing so, you're going to be able to dictate the entire pace of the game as long as you keep up the momentum. So we can see that no one spends quite a bit of time in the mid lane. Even after taking the tier 1 tower, he makes sure that he keeps the wave pushed in so that somebody has to respond to the pressure in the mid tower, which is going to make them show on the map. It's going to make them leave the jungle and come deal with these creeps that are hitting the tower. And that is going to free up no one to then make a rotation to the bottom lane because as soon as you take a tower, your next thought should be, okay, how do I get the next tower? And the best way to do that usually is to shove in the wave and then make a rotation now that you are out of vision of the enemy team. And here we are just 13 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, and you see that there's a tier 1 mid missing for Radiant, there's a tier 1 bottom missing for Radiant, and there's a tier 2 bottom missing for Radiant as well, and no one is making his way to the top lane to join a fight with this team. He has an armlet, he already has a halberd thanks to all of that tower gold, and he's going to look to take yet another tower. And one of the biggest things that I've really noticed over the years of playing pubs is that in solo queue, everybody knows what to do when the tier 1 tower is up. Everybody knows that you're supposed to take tier 1 towers. But once the tier 1s are gone, it becomes an almost impossibly complex problem for people to solve to take the tier 2s and end the game. The nice thing about Huskar is that he has a very easy solution for this problem because he is extremely good at taking Roshan. And Roshan is one of the best ways to empower yourself to try to go high ground. And you can even use it as a rallying point for your team to get them to play with you and try to end the game. So the second hero that I wanted to cover in this video is Visage. And this is an interesting hero to contrast with Huskar because he essentially does the same thing as Huskar, but in a different way. Visage is arguably one of the worst laners in the entire game because he has 0 armor and he doesn't really have any strong offensive tools until he gets level 6. So your job as a Visage is to basically just do your best to last it and not get denied and just try to survive until you get to your familiar timing. And at that point, suddenly you become the strongest hero on the map, and then you employ this Huskar style of gameplay where you just go from tower to tower to tower, walking down lanes and denying the other team map control. So in this clip, we're going to be watching 33 play Visage against a hero that is incredibly popular right now in INVOKER. And this is, again, why I wanted to cover these two heroes, because with INVOKER being so popular, with these slower heroes being popular, a hero like Visage can very heavily punish that. So as a mid Visage, you're going to be leveling up Grave Chill first, and you're pretty much just going to use it to try to out CS the opponent by taking away their attack speed at an opportune time to allow you to then maybe sneak in a right click, get a deny here, get a CS there. And you're going to try to just kind of play the range game. You don't want to be trading right clicks. You don't really want to be doing anything aggressive. You're trying to just sustain yourself. You're just trying to survive until you have your level 6. And at that point, you completely change how your hero is being played. It's kind of like Lycan in that regard. And in that same vein, you're going to be going for a Helm of Dominator rush. No boots. Everybody that I've seen that plays mid Visage starts the lane with a Basilius because you need the armor. And you also need the mana regeneration to be able to continually spam out the Grave Chill. And Visage definitely benefits from the change to the mid lane that happened earlier on in the year that brought the towers closer together, because this hero is incredibly easy to gank because he's very slow and has no defensive tools. So this is really the perfect laning setup for him, where the two creep waves can kind of just bounce between the towers. Visage can kind of use the creeps as a wall a lot of the time to help harass and deny the enemy team when it's under their tower. And then he can just kind of use his tower as a way to sustain himself in lane, because it gives him 5 armor if he's in the tower radius, which is something that Visage desperately needs if he's going to have to ever tank creeps. So we're going to see 33 hit level 6 here and just immediately shift how he's playing this game. Even with the familiars, he's not going to get super aggressive quite yet. He's going to use the familiars as a way to trade. If the Invoker ever steps up too far, he will Grave Chill him and he will harass him, but he doesn't have any kill potential until he has the Helm of Dominator, because once you have the Helm, then you have the ability to find some disable, because what you're going to be looking for in the creeps in the jungle are either a net creep, a stunning creep, or a slowing creep. And that will be enough disable to allow you to take advantage of the damage from your familiars. And like we talked about in the Huskar section of this video, the current meta for mid players is often to shove out the wave and then go jungle, and then come back and then go jungle, and then come back and go jungle. And Visage is one of the best heroes at punishing this playstyle, because if you leave the lane for even a couple of minutes, you're going to lose your tower, and you're going to then free up Visage to start rotating around and pressuring your other lane. So it's actually incredibly important that you defend your mid tower. The only problem is, because this pressure happens so early, it's pretty darn difficult to actually do that. And you can see that here, as 33 is easily able to just take the mid tower. The Invoker can't do anything about it, and nobody from the other lanes is ready to start rotating to help. So again, we see that as soon as the mid tower goes down, 33 looks to move to another lane. Again, this happens around the 10-minute mark, which is a perfect time to do that, because it allows you to help secure bounty runes. And then also potentially, if you win a fight at the bounty rune, then you can take more towers. 33 does another thing that we also saw in the Huskar section of this video, which is that he does return to the mid lane for the siege wave. He returns to the mid lane to keep it shoved in, to allow him to make this rotation. It's not like he just leaves the lane and allows the Invoker to then take his mid tower. The whole point of taking this tower so early is that you have a big map control advantage. So you don't want to just sacrifice that map control advantage as soon as you get it. And another thing that I wanted to point out about both Visage and Huskar is that these heroes are fairly slow in terms of their mobility around the map. And that is another thing that makes this aggressive playstyle so important, and why you shouldn't be trying to rotate to the opposite side of the map necessarily to take a fight to defend your tier 1 safe lane tower. You really want to make all of the momentum of the game going towards the enemy base, because you just simply are not a good hero at making that kind of rotation. Both of these heroes essentially like to take up residence on the enemy side of the map and just say, this is my house now, and you're not allowed to come here. You have to go all the way around if you want to get farm. And if you want to fight me for it, go ahead, because I'm ready and you're not. But again, we haven't seen him go back to his side of the map since he took the tier 1 mid tower. He's literally just been on the enemy side of the map the entire time. And that's just generally a huge mistake that I see a lot of players making, which is to return to your side of the map when you have the advantage. And on these two heroes in particular, that kind of mistake can be pretty game losing, because you're just not good at doing that. Like Huskar, Visage also empowers his team to take Roshan at a very early stage in the game. And that means that you, again, have a tool to go high ground before 20-25 minutes. Unfortunately, Visage is probably one of the worst Aegis carriers in the entire game, but as long as you have a carry that can take advantage of it, you can generally convince your team that now is the time to play aggressively. Also, unlike Huskar, you are a very good aura carrier because you are providing it not only to your birds, but also to your whole team. So it actually benefits them to play around you, and you should build accordingly. Most Visages tend to go for stuff like Solar Crest, Assault Cuirass, and then maybe an Aghanim Scepter later on. Sometimes you even see a pipe on the hero to protect your birds and yourself and your teammates. Generally speaking, you just want to be the hero that your team wants to be near because your whole job is to group up and take the enemy towers. So that's basically it for this video. It's a topic that I've been kind of thinking about for a while because the game has been stretching. It feels like there's so much focus on this late game style. There has to be a way to counter it. And I think based off of the win rates of heroes like Visage and Huskar and Meepo and Lycan, this early game, heavy push playstyle definitely still has a spot in the game of Dota and could potentially be the counter to the current meta. So keep an eye out. Thanks for watching this video. Again, thank you so much to Skillshare for supporting this channel. And as I said before, please do yourself a favor. Give Skillshare a try. The link is in the description below or pinned in the comment section. And I legitimately think that is a very beneficial way to better yourself, to get better at stuff that you've always wanted to try out. There's good teachers on there. It's free for 2 months if you use our link, and I think that you guys are going to enjoy it. Thanks as always for tuning in, and we will see you in another video.